It's what you want.
Thank you.
It's what every white boy off the lake wants.
You want to talk about Criterion?
Let's do it.
Yeah? Who's ready for some Criterion out there? Putting out their July slate, putting out Pat Garrett and Billy the Kid, putting out Les Samurai, Farewell My Concubine, Perfect Days, Black God, White Devil, and the film that we're going to talk about, because it's the only one that I've heard of.
The most basic American one of all, Risky Business.
Risky Business in 4K, coming out July 23rd, just in time for the half-off sale. Criterion welcoming Tom Cruise.
That's unbelievable.
I'm so happy. This is so awesome. Previously released on Blue, and a movie I know you've pined for. You've been pining.
I'll upgrade this movie till the day I die. I grew up on this, man. I watched this as a child.
I watched it for the first time last year. Was it? Yeah.
First time I ever saw the nether regions of a female was this movie.
Wow.
It was really good.
Well, I'd never seen the nether regions of a female until I had seen it last year as well.
Whoa.
I kind of flubbed that, but you get the picture. Dude, I don't know. I mean, I know this is a movie you're obviously a lot more connected to than me, but just in my understanding of its, cachet, I always expected this to come out in 4K, but I never expected it to be Criterion. Could you have pictured that? Was you expecting that? Like, I don't know. It just seemed to me kind of out of the blue that, like, wow, that's awesome that they did it.
Yeah,
I was expecting the studio for sure.
It's one of those where...
On Tom Cruise? Like, they're not going to cash in on his name, the studio that owns Risky Business?
Business. Yes.
Yeah. It's one of those where I'm not surprised once it's said, because it definitely would fall in the line. Like if you put Risky Business, Dazed and Confused, and Fast Times at Ridgemont High together, that's not strange.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So once it was said, I'm like, yeah, that makes sense, I suppose, for Criterion. Breakfast Club, there's another one,
Gotcha.
But you're right. I would have envisioned, if I'd heard this announcement, it would have been like a Sony Steelbook or something.
You don't buy Sony if you want RCA.
Just like a regular edition with the Tom
Select, maybe
the Tom Cruise sunglasses.
Kino, honestly,
not even a boutique.
A Kino slip I could have seen for this is what I would have, like something along like Misery and all that. I would have pictured. Yeah, so I'm over the fucking moon.
Yeah, and I think this art is pretty cool.
It is, and I'm usually I don't know what it is. I like these really sharp.
Dude, it's crisp.
HD crisp images that Criterion, they did it with To Die For.
Yes.
The Others, I think, was the first one I really noticed it on. What was that gay film you were enamored with? That was crisp. Quarrel, yes. Something was crisp about it. I responded to it. But that's what I mean. I'm a fan. I like this. It's sharp.
It's very sharp.
It has that neon, like, oh God, they're doing it with the right movies too.
Yeah, the title.
They're not just doing like this sharp, crispy for like Salo or something. You know what I mean? Like it's this.
Yeah, you're right.
The way they have the names, like Tom Cruise, Rebecca De Mornay, the written and directed by Paul Brickman, everything just looks great.
And let's not kid ourselves, especially with Criterion's mission statement, which is essentially to preserve, culturally important aesthetics or whatever. Most people, when they think Risky Business, this is the goddamn thing they think of.
Right.
This is a scene that people know, even if you've never seen the movie. They think of this old time rock and roll scene.
Fair enough.
Yeah, well done.
Tip of the hat to you, Criterion.
Well done. And of course, when I saw it announced, I was super pumped. And then I was like, wow, I wonder this is the first time, they've had their hands on it. So what are they able to put together? Who's involved? Like, I was really curious. So then when you look at the features, they have a 4K restoration supervised by the director, but they're doing the theatrical and the director's cut, which I remember reading what the director's cut ending was, and I'm a little honestly foggy on it. I don't want to spoil it anyway, just in case, but I remember it being like more of a downer ending, sort of, a little bit more of one.
It is, but honestly, I love the way Brickman or whoever worked around that initial test screening, because it's not drastically different from the ending that we all know.
Yeah.
It's just a little more punctuated.
Gotcha.
But honestly, the theatrical ending, because it's not punctuated, almost adds a greater level of ambivalence towards it.
4.5?
I know you're a Tom Cruise guy. I get it.
Tom Cruise guy.
Yeah. It's her though, dude. It's Rebecca De
Oh.
Mornay. It's her look. It's her vibe. It's her eyes. It's her ambivalence. And like I said, that ending.
I love that they leave you kind of with a question a little.
Exactly. And in real life, you wouldn't know. And honestly, if you're a negative person like I am, you're reading between the lines in that scene like, yo, y'all ain't never going to fucking know each other again.
Yeah.
You're going to have a terrible life. He's going to go on and be a fucking rich asshole, and you're going to be a story he tells his buddies one day.
I hope so.
In your
he's-
negative worldview.
That's really what's going to happen. He's the future enterpriser. That's what I love about this movie. When it came out, it's that mindset. It's like what the 80s ended up being was the celebration of excess and greed is good and all that. Where Risky Business came out in 83. And if you notice, that's a theme in it. Like even when they sit down, him and his friends, like, hey, what do you want to do? And, you know, everyone goes around, make a lot of money. And he goes, you know, I want to serve my fellow mankind. And they all throw shit at him. You know what I mean? The whole future enterprise. That's the whole plot.
Free enterprise.
We're going to turn this into a business. I have nerdy, horny friends. You have prostitute friends. Let's do this.
Yeah.
Sometimes you got to say, what the fuck? But like I said, I think it's culturally just so interesting in terms of the 80s. Like I said, it was right before it went full synth, what we all associate as the 80s. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that tone is just magnificent.
I think when this comes out, we should review it. So I don't want to like go too deep, but I will. The only thing I will say is I was very, I don't know, like surprised by this movie a little bit. It wasn't what I think was expected. Like you said about this whole scene where he like slides out and just was. I mean, I think you said that to me after I watched it or before I watched it. Like, don't
think it's that.
Don't think it's that because it's definitely not that.
Now you listen to me, you little fuck.
Think of, say, American Pie, which I like American Pie. Nothing wrong with it, but it's absurd. It's cartoony.
Yeah.
And that doesn't even deal with fucking prostitution and shit. That's actually more in a real world of what teens go through. And somehow that's comical and cartoony and larger than life, where this should be, yet somehow feels like I'm in the most grounded. That could be me. And it's impressive as hell.
The soundtrack would also surprise me too. Like I would never
My favorite of all time.
I would have
My favorite
never
score of all time.
I would have never even expected music like that
And
to
it
come
adds
on.
to it.
Like it really gives it a depth.
God, and it sets it off right in the beginning with his dream. You know what I mean? The music starts in the first scene where he's having the dream about the neighbor in the shower. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And, oh, God.
I think you're really wasted.
It's a fucking perfect movie.
It is. We got to come back
really
for a
is a
review.
perfect
We got to
movie.
come back for a review. Oh, I will say too, I had a crush on Rebecca De Mornay like when I was younger,
So did I.
and like it was really funny to because I'd never seen this movie, but it was funny to come back and see her like even probably younger than all the other movies that I had a crush on
this
her when I was in the
her
90s.
Breakthrough.
Yeah,
Her-
and she was excellent in it. I mean, she's a great actress. I mean, some of these roles like Hand That Rocks the Cradle. Come on, dude. She's like, woo.
Are you ready for me?
Yeah, all right. Yeah, let me. Yeah,
She's had some great
iconic.
roles. She's had some great
Yeah.
roles.
I think when she's cast right, she's electrifying.
Yeah.
And in Anna Rocks the Cradle, it works. In this, it works.
Yes.
I think in other things, it's
Feds.
a little off. That's another necessary roughness moment, man. Come
No,
on.
dude. Necessary Roughness is a little bit higher than Feds. You didn't
I
like
don't even
Feds?
remember Feds.
Come
dude.
on.
I remember it was her and the
That nerdy girl,
the
that nerdy lady
brunette
from
chick who was
SNL.
in a lot of stuff. Oh, that's right.
She was in SNL.
Was she on like the failed season?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Feds.
Yeah,
Any love
I
for
remember
Feds
the
out there? Can I
premise.
get a poll? I'm just kidding. Don't run a poll on that. Don't run a poll on Feds. But look it up out there. Look it up. If you're looking for a fun romp with the Rebecca De Mornay, check out Feds. It's a good classic. Is it 80s or 90s?
It's 80s.
80s, yeah. It's an 80s like police comedy. It's good. What are the people saying about Risky Business? Any love for Risky Business out there?
Oh yeah, especially for Rebecca.
Oh, Rebecca.
They're excited to see her in 4K.
Wow. Okay, let's keep it PG-ish.
I
Even
do
though
have
Russ
one
is-
question though from the audience. 6 a.m. wants to know. They're 48 and have never seen this movie. Would you recommend this as a blind buy?
Risky Business, yes.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, the older I get, it's funny when I say I grew up on this movie and saw it as a little kid. I should not have been watching this. And it surprisingly held my attention as a kid. Like it's one of those movies. The older I revisit it, I've shown my wife, her and I have watched it in recent years. it doesn't let up. If anything, it ages like wine and gets better.
Thank you.
Whenever there's a movie like this with this much name recognition, especially, you know, Tom Cruise and all this kind of stuff, and I haven't seen it, when I'm going back to watch that for the first time, I'm almost expecting to not be like, almost expecting to be like, what's all the hype? That wasn't as, you know, that didn't live up to what I had. This one, when I watched it, and I was totally expecting that here too. I was expecting to watch, okay, this is going to be fun. And, you know, it's going to be mainly driven by nostalgia of people that liked it back then. I don't know if it's going to click with me at all.
Cold. There's not really a nostalgia to it.
I loved it.
Oh man, I like that you said that. You're right. This isn't a nostalgic movie. This isn't like a John Hughes, like a high school teen movie where you're like, warm. It's not. That's what I mean about how serious the tone is.
You're the one who's going to college. You figure it out.
It feels like an adult film. Like, honestly, everything in it, he doesn't even really, well, I guess he does because of the SATs and all that, but like, it's a very, and I don't mean cold in a bad way. I just mean like, it isn't interested in that fuzzy sentiment. It's not interested in funny sentimentality.
No.
At all.
No.
If anything, it's going against that.
Yeah. I mean, I can't wait to pick this up and rewatch it, especially in this treatment, and check out, you know, like, look at all these new interviews. The director has come back, the casting director. They've got a whole like making of it, looks like, featuring interviews with the director and some cast members, other people. You got the screen test with Cruise and Rebecca De Mornay.
I've seen those.
Have you? I mean, and the former commentary that is from the DVD. I think you said that Tom Cruise is on.
What else can you ask for?
Yeah, it was video commentary.
Is it good?
It would come on, like, it was one of those things you can optional video commentary.
I like
him and Brickman,
video commentaries are awesome. Yes, I think that's cool too.
And that blew me away at the time when that DVD came out. I was like, wow, Tom Cruise came back to do a video commentary for Risky Business.
He wants to connect with the fans.
Yeah.
He's a man of the fans.
Say what you want about him, but that he is.
Nothing but good stuff. I'm going to have to redo the shirt and get Risky Business put on it. It's a really cool poster.